Well, a hearty good morning. Welcome, one and all. I am Dan Greenberg, Chairman of the Board of Trustees, and it's my privilege on behalf of the board to welcome you all here today. I flew up here last night at about 12:45 in the morning. My wife sang me happy birthday this morning in a way that only she could do. So what am I doing here? Well, the reason is simple. This is the magical moment. God has shined his light upon us today with wonderful weather, with families and friends and students all waiting for that magical moment. I never really, as I've thought about it, have remembered very much of my own graduation here many, many years ago, but I've never forgotten the education. And the thing you leave with, this stunning, unique, interesting educational experience that will serve you well in life, you'll never forget that. You're lucky. I'm the only person up here without prepared remarks, so they are short and sweet and to the point. Let the festivities begin.
Good morning. This is not my day job, so bear with me. I'm Tony Fisher. I'm class of 1980 and president of the Alumni Association of Reed College. And it is my privilege and my pleasure to welcome each of you, members of the class of 2007, to the merry band of 15,000 alums that make up the Alumni Association. In a brief moment after you step off this stage, you will join our fellowship. And on behalf of all of us, I wish you joy at your achievement. And to your parents, family, and friends, I hope you can always remember and cherish the pride and love that you feel this morning for your favorite Reedy. I vaguely remember That's fine. I vaguely remember my own feelings a fast 27 years ago when I was sitting where you are. Actually, not exactly where you are. We were over in the sports center back then. Trying to absorb the whole graduation thing. Of course, it was much more surreal than it is today because Mount St. Helens had blown its top off early that morning. And the volcanic ash was just starting to fall here in Portland. But I recall feeling an odd mixture of happiness and ambivalence because I was leaving this magical 100-acre wood. Never, I thought, to be able to really return. And that made me feel sad, being an Eeyorish type by nature. And perhaps you are feeling a little bit of that as well this morning, as Eeyore might have said. But I'm here to say, snap out of it. Because you can always come back here, and you will be welcomed by this college. And you will always be welcomed by your fellow alums. We know what you have been through to have earned these diplomas. Probably for many of us, certainly for me, that whole senior thesis deal, junior qual, thesis, orals, was the most challenging, demanding task we ever set ourselves to, no matter what graduate school or career paths we took. It's one of the things that sets us all a bit apart and helps us to relate. So never forget, you can always reach out to each other and to your fellow alums for advice, for career help, for laughter, for support, for fellowship. Because, as my Aussie friends say, we be mates. And in fact, I urge you all to be engaged alumni right from the very start. And I wasn't for the first 10 years or so, and what a waste. I missed out on so much in part because I thought, hey, I go to these events and most of the people are older than me. What's there to share? What do we have in common? Well, the answer is plenty. All we need to do is learn how to connect with each other. And let me give you my 2 cents on that. After about 20 years after I graduated, and I am a slow learner, I came to believe and realize that most of us grown-ups are just cases of arrested development. And we hit the wall somewhere in our early 20s. So think about that when you meet Reedies of other generations at alumni events in the coming months and years. We may look as old as dirt right now, but don't forget that inside, we may not feel much older than you do right now. The hardware is going, but inside we're running on pretty much the same software platforms that you all have. Am I right, parents? That's how at least we see ourselves if we're lucky. And don't forget, we remember the joys and the sad times here, the quest-like trials that we've all gone through, the sunshine on the meadow triumphs, the loves, the friendships, the feeling of community with our quirky Reed comrades, just like you do. And I'll bet you'll find in the coming years that deep inside you, you probably share more in common with your fellow Reed alums than most any other group of people that you run into. For instance, ask alums what their favorite year was here and why, and then just let them run with it. You won't have to do much talking. Reedy storytelling is really a hoot, and you'll know that you're on common ground with them. So for the next 80 years or so, you could have a ball being a Reed alum. But to state the obvious, we don't have sports teams to bring us all together. We have ourselves and our common experience and values and interests. We're helped out a lot by our Alumni and Parent Relations Office and staff and by the Alumni Association. But in the end, it's what each of us make of it. So here's my hope for you. Do great things, large and small. Love great loves. Be the best friend you can be to others. And stay connected with this magical 100-acre wood and all of its wonderful occupants, past, present, and future. Give the gift of yourself to your fellow Reedies so that we can make this journey together. Because Reedies do rock, and so do each of you. Congratulations, thank you, and best of luck.
Heed not how hope believes and faith disposes. Shadow is round the east, the long day closes. The lighted windows Come live with me and be my love, and we will all the pleasures prove, that hill and valley, dale and field, that hill and valley, dale and field, and all the craggy mountains yield. There will we sit upon the rocks and see the shepherds feed their flocks by shallow rivers to whose falls melodious birds sing madrigals. And if these pleasures made thee move, then live with me and be my love. And if these pleasures made thee move, then live with me and be my love. Then live with me and be my love. Then live with me and be my love. Then will I make thee beds of roses with 1,000 fragrant posies, a cap of flowers and a kirtle, a cap of flowers and a kirtle, embroidered all with leaves of myrtle. The shepherds shall dance and sing for thy delight each May morning. The shepherds shall dance and sing for thy delight each May morning. If these delights thy mind may move, then live with me and be my love. If these delights thy mind may move, then live with me and be my love. Then live with me and be my love. Then live with me and be my love.
Good morning. This is the audience participation part. Excuse me just a minute. Yes? Yes, Mother. Okay, Mother. Yes, thank you. I'm supposed to remind you to turn off your cell phones. Congratulations to the class of 2007. And I want all of you in the class of 2007 to help us to thank two groups of people who made your presence literally possible. First, those who gave you life and gave you love and gave you guidance and paid your tuition, your families. And second, those whose inspiration and dedication and slave-driving fanaticism will leave a lasting impression on your intellects, the Reed College faculty. Well, it really is over. As my grandmother used to say on Thanksgiving night, we've loved having you stay, now it's time to leave. We need to clean the kitchen, put the food away, rearrange the furniture. And we want you to begin digesting this enormous meal you have just eaten. Give yourself time. Go back home to your loved ones. Reclaim your bedrooms. Raid the refrigerator. Become a couch potato. Leave your dirty laundry in piles around the house. I'm sure your parents will welcome you back with open arms for at least a week. Well, you have spent the last 4 years in one of the world's most privileged and sheltered environments. Enough said. But in fact, I'm sure, as you are all well aware, that impression of privilege and shelter is just an illusion. All of us at Reed College, or wherever your paths will take you next, are part of one world, and it is a world of staggering contradictions. Corporate executives and hedge fund managers own houses larger than hotels, while 1 billion people try to survive on $1 a day. Life expectancy grows toward 100 in the so-called first world, while millions of children die of preventable diseases in the third world. Religious and ethnic pride builds communities and destroys nations. Economic progress lifts standards of living to unimaginable levels and simultaneously generates a stew of greenhouse gases that is literally cooking our planet. These things are not new, but their magnitude is new. Their immediacy is new. And the sheer force of their presence in our quotidian days is new. I grew up in a corner of America blissfully oblivious of the world's and indeed of America's agonies. No longer. I guess it is the gift of my generation to yours to have destroyed oblivion, to have destroyed innocence. There are no safe havens left, not even Reed College. The world outside seeps through our walls, our cell phones, our computers, our windows and water pipes, our food supply, into our bloodstreams and into our souls. The great accomplishment of the world during my lifetime has been to bring human tragedy and human triumph to everyone's doorstep. But that same accomplishment has also brought human responsibility to everyone's doorstep. It has made us aware that we truly are responsible for everyone else. We are asked, every one of us, to consider the footprints we leave behind during our brief visit to this planet. There is much talk these days about our carbon footprint. Consider the food we eat, the water we drink, the structures that house us, the energy that we consume. What contribution do each of us make to the capacity of our environment to sustain life? Do we poison the earth, or do we enrich it? Do we deplete its resources, or do we replenish them? So too, it seems to me, we are being asked, every one of us, to consider our moral footprint, our justice footprint, if you will. Consider the actions we take in our daily lives, our spoken and written words, even our private beliefs and thoughts. Do we foster a world that is more just or a world that is less just? Do we consume the world's scarce moral resources, or do we invest in and strengthen those resources? You, the graduates of this college, have the undoubted intellectual and cognitive ability to understand the kind of footprint that you leave on this earth, to know whether your actions will move the world backward toward death or forward toward life. I pray that you and that all of us will use that capacity to choose life. Thank you. And now it is my singular pleasure to introduce the alumnus selected by this year's graduating class to be your commencement speaker, Bill Hohengarten. My introduction is short, but not quite that short. Following his graduation from Reed in 1984, Bill pursued graduate study in philosophy. After years of wrestling with Marx and Hegel, Wittgenstein and Habermas, Bill opted to go to law school. Vindicating a subsequent decision of the trustees to hire a law professor as its president. Bill clerked on the Supreme Court and became a lawyer who specializes in appellate work. And through his work both in everyday commercial and regulatory matters and in path-breaking pro bono cases such as Lawrence versus Texas, Bill has already made a lasting mark on his world. Poised as he once was to become a philosopher king, he chose instead to become a philosopher servant. Please join me in welcoming a man who has been exquisitely aware of his own moral footprint, Bill Hohengarten.
Thank you. Thank you for that extremely kind introduction, President Diver. Congratulations to the graduates today. You can take it from me that you have just completed the hardest and best educational program you'll ever go through. I know that because I've gone through so many of them, and Reed was the hardest and the best. It's a huge honor for me as a Reedie to be here addressing you here today. And in fact, I was completely surprised a few months ago when Peter Steinberger called me up out of the blue and invited me to speak here. That's a trick they learn in Dean's School. Take them by surprise. In my case, it worked. I forgot to say no and agreed to do it. Now, after I hung up the phone, it dawned on me that maybe Peter's call was a practical joke. And maybe it wasn't Peter at all. In fact, it sounded a lot like him with the same accent, suspiciously undiluted by decades in Portland. But the invitation and the honor seemed just too great to me, and so I was uncertain about it. Then I got a confirmation letter which purported to be signed by President Diver. I held it up to the light to check the watermark. It was a griffin, but of course it still could have been a forgery. I played along a little bit more and sent an official acceptance back to Diver, and we went back and forth until it finally dawned on me that this invitation was no hoax. Finally, the grim reality set in. I had to write this speech. Now, I waited for inspiration to strike me, but the months slipped by and no flashes of insight came. Finally, I realized what was wrong. As a lawyer, I don't have to think up topics anymore. Clients come to me with their problems, and I help them solve them. Okay, so I could deal with that and reframing the issue. Today, I had to think of you graduates as my clients. And the problem that confronts you is, where do you go from here? Well, let me try and provide some insights by drawing on my own experience since graduating from Reed. It's a story that begins on this very day, 23 years ago, as I sat in the audience at my own Reed commencement. On that day, I viewed commencement not as a beginning, as the word commencement implies, but as the end of my years at Reed. I really loved the time I was in college here, so much so that 4 years weren't enough, and I was a student for 5. I worked in Portland during the summers, and all of my friends were here. Now, if one of my friends had said to me then that someday I would be a partner in a law firm addressing you here today, I would have said, someone's been raiding the leftovers from Ren Fair. I was worried that the old Reed, new Reed thing, you guys wouldn't get that. But anyway, I didn't remotely foresee my present life. I was heading off for a year at the Free University in Berlin, and then to grad school in the States to study philosophy and someday be a professor. I liked the life of the mind, and I really wasn't sure my education at Reed had suited me for anything else. I went to Germany to study Hegel. That was another thing that was Peter Steinberger's fault. I took Peter's Hegel and Marx class when I was at Reed, and my senior thesis was a very erudite comparison of Hegel's and Marx's concepts of social and personal freedom. When I got to Berlin, however, I signed up for a course on Wittgenstein. After that, Hegel was out, Wittgenstein in. I kept up an interest in Habermas, though, from my Reed days, and after years of study, I arrived at my dissertation topic, an epic battle between Wittgenstein and Habermas. The question I tried to answer was whether our linguistic practices commit us to try, or instead, just the opposite, actually prevent us from trying, to reach rational consensus with others about what we say and do. But the clash between the thesis of Wittgenstein and the antithesis of Habermas led to a wholly unexpected synthesis. I went to law school. Now, why, you ask? There was no one reason. Part of it was practical. My life partner, David, is an architect. I should have mentioned before that I met David on my very first day in Germany, less than 3 months after I graduated from Reed. That's another thing I never imagined as I sat in the audience at my own commencement. The best thing that would ever happen to me, meeting the person I would share my life with, was right around the corner. I should also say, David's here, and if you meet him, please be kind to him. He went to Princeton, but he really wishes he'd gone to Reed. Now, when I was finishing my doctorate, David needed to put down professional roots in an urban area, and that was not compatible with the itinerant life of most junior philosophy professors. Another reason I went to law school was intellectual. Wittgenstein describes philosophy as a sickness and also as its own cure. That metaphor used to annoy me, but that's because I still had the disease. It's a disease that might have plagued me my entire life if I hadn't continued my philosophical studies after I graduated from Reed. But after years of study, I was cured. Real-world problems were suddenly a lot more interesting to me than questions such as, what's it like to be a brain in a vat? Now, another reason I decided to go to law school was that I could. When I graduated from Reed, it didn't seem possible for an openly gay person to flourish in the mainstream business world. I might add, it really probably didn't seem possible for a Reedy to flourish in the mainstream business world. So I never really looked at it as an option. But by the early 1930s, that had begun to change, or at least the part about gay people. I don't know about Reedies. So at least for myself, I could now picture myself in the government or a law firm, not just in academia. And I could help affect social change, not just theorize about it. And I could also help change perceptions of gay people just by being myself, an openly gay man, living my life like everyone else in the everyday world. Still, the decision to give up philosophy wasn't easy for me. I'd worked long and hard to lay the foundation for a successful academic career. It was painful to just walk away from it. My colleagues in philosophy thought it was a terrible idea. One of my professors actually sneered, "Law is just a trade." I was told that I feared success, or maybe I was just a failure. As it turned out, going to law school was a great decision, at least for me. Law may be just a trade, but it's a trade in which you use your intellect to really accomplish things. As a lawyer, I use the same skills of analyzing and synthesizing complex ideas that I honed at Reed and in graduate school. It's not that far from Hegel versus Marx and Wittgenstein versus Habermas to Lawrence versus Texas. But instead of meta-debating whether we can or must use rational argumentation to try and reach social consensus, as a lawyer, I just go ahead and do it. Now, I'm a partner in a law firm. That means we try and make money. And most of my work involves commercial disputes for paying clients. Those paying cases are always involve cutting-edge issues, and I care a lot about them. But one of the greatest things about being a lawyer is the ability, indeed the duty, to go beyond paid cases and do pro bono work, that is, provide free legal services for the public good. I guess I was invited here today largely because of my work in one of my pro bono cases, Lawrence versus Texas. I hope you already know that in Lawrence, the Supreme Court overruled its earlier decision in Bowers versus Hardwick and recognized that in America, the government cannot criminalize gay sexuality. If you've never read the court's decisions in Bowers and in Lawrence, you really should. When you read Bowers, which was written in 1986, I think you'll be shocked, as I was, by how overtly homophobic the Supreme Court's opinion was. The feeling any gay person came away with after reading Bowers was, they really hate me. It was the justifying legal document for second-class citizenship for gay people in this country between 1986 and 2003. The decision in Lawrence was just the opposite. I was at the Supreme Court the day Lawrence was actually handed down. I was sat in the audience as Justice Kennedy read the court's opinion from the bench, and I was really literally moved to tears by the glowing affirmation of the equality of gay people in our country. One of the images I recall from that day was footage on the news of the rainbow flag being lowered and the American flag being raised above the Castro in San Francisco. And that symbolized to me, and I think to most gay people, what Lawrence means. We stopped being second-class citizens and started being full Americans. Now, we still have a long way to go to full equality, especially concerning marriage and the military. But even if the Supreme Court turns its back on us, and that could very well happen with just one more retirement and new appointment to the court in the next 2 years, society itself is on the right course in securing full equality to gay Americans. You see that, for example, in the domestic partner and anti-discrimination laws signed by the governor just last week in Oregon, such a great state. Now, when I graduated from Reed, I never imagined I might contribute in a real way to this trend, much less that being gay and my insights as a gay person would be a source of my greatest professional achievement, not a stigma. Unfortunately, unlike the movement forward in gay rights, not everything is on the right course, as President Diver so eloquently said. I'd like to talk for a moment about one of the other issues I've worked on in pro bono cases, the treatment of so-called enemy combatants. This is just one symptom of a broader attack on the rule of law in this country since 9/11. Using the horrible events of that day as a justification, the current administration has pursued a strategy of arresting individuals that it labels enemy combatants and imprisoning them without charge, potentially for life, without any opportunity to contest the allegations leveled against them. The military's own career attorneys reject this policy as unsound, but it's being driven by an extreme ideology of executive power that is unconstrained by law and has no precedent in our nation's history. This is another thing that I could never imagine happening in America when I graduated from Reed. Now, I've worked on a couple cases challenging this policy, including Jose Padilla's. You may remember Padilla. Actually, he's in the news again this morning, as I'll come back to. But when he was first arrested, the Attorney General held a news conference claiming that Padilla planned to detonate a so-called dirty bomb in an American city. On the order of the president, with no judicial review of the evidence against Padilla, if indeed there was any evidence at all, he was held in solitary confinement by the military in complete isolation on a naval brig for years. During that time, he was almost certainly tortured by our government. He was arrested in the United States. He's an American citizen. He could be you or me. The history of the legal challenge to Padilla's confinement is complicated, but suffice it to say that when it was about to go to the Supreme Court for the second time, a strange thing happened. The government suddenly released Padilla from military custody and handed him over to civilian authorities in order to block judicial review by the Supreme Court of the unconstitutional policy of holding him in confinement without charging him with a crime. After that, criminal charges were finally brought against Padilla using the procedures that are spelled out in our Constitution. But those charges did not include a plan to detonate a dirty bomb or anything comparable. And in fact, Padilla's in the news again this morning because his criminal trial, begins today as the most minor participant in an alleged conspiracy that doesn't involve anything remotely resembling what the government claimed when he was first seized to justify holding him in isolation for years. So the entire basis of Padilla's military detention had just been a mistake. That's why we have guarantees of due process and habeas corpus in our Constitution. These aren't legal technicalities to protect the guilty. They're fundamental safeguards to protect innocent people from unchecked government power. But these bedrocks of liberty and justice are under attack today in ways that were unimaginable just 6 years ago. Under the current policy, the president can issue a unilateral order to arrest any one of us at any time and hold us incommunicado in a military prison forever. The founders of our nation did not give the president or any other official that power because they understood its potential for abuses that we see today. But the institutions that the founders built to preserve liberty aren't self-sustaining. We, all of us as citizens, have to ensure that those institutions survive attacks, whether from without or from within. Okay, so now let's go back to our question, where do you all go from here? Here's my advice based on my own experience over the past 23 years since I sat where you are today. First of all, there's no rush to, quote, decide what you're going to do with your life. There's so many possibilities in your future that you don't even imagine now. So take your time. From the time I started at Reed until I graduated from law school, I was a student for 15 straight years. I'm sure this endears me to all the parents in the audience. Mind you, I wasn't supported by my parents. I got by on fellowships and loans. And if you're not afraid to be poor, being a student's a great way to go. Or you could be a wilderness guide, that's what I really wish I'd done, or an activist, or join the Peace Corps, or 1,000 other things. I got a job when I graduated from law school at 34. Take your time. Now, there's a corollary to this. Don't be afraid to switch to something completely new. From time to time, you need to step back and ask whether you should keep going in the same direction or change course. Just because you're good at something doesn't mean you have to keep doing it. Treat your accomplishments as resources you can draw on no matter what you do, but not as limitations on what you can choose to do. You probably don't realize it, and I didn't when I graduated from Reed, but your education here has prepared you for anything. You know how to reason critically, and that's the most important skill you need wherever you turn in the future. And most importantly, please use your talents for the good of the larger world. You're graduating from college at a time of unique peril in our nation's history. Ideology, or to use today's terms, truthiness, is ascendant. Just a few more words on the rapport. But the best cure for that ideology is critical reason, something you Reedies, we Reedies, have in abundance. It doesn't matter whether you're a scientist, a carpenter, a historian, a doctor, an activist, an artist, an entrepreneur, a slacker, or even a lawyer. Whatever you do, find a way to help steer America back to its core values. Now, I realize now that commencement is not really an ending, as I thought when I was graduating from Reed 23 years ago. Nor is it a brand new beginning, as the word implies. It's a bend in the road, a road that you are already traveling down. There's going to be many other roads in the bend in your life. They're going to take you places you don't imagine as you sit here today. But your years at Reed have prepared you very well for the rest of the journey. Have a great trip.
Will the candidates of the Division of the Arts please rise?
Mr. President, I present for the degree of Bachelor of Arts the candidates both present and in absentia of the Division of the Arts.
Upon the recommendation of the faculty of Reed College and by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon the students of this division the degree of Bachelor of Arts with all the rights and privileges thereunto appertaining.
Maya Jenny Bartel. Sheena Margaret Campbell. Gabriella Hannah Cook. Samuel Francis Falls. Alexander Lennon Gagne Hawes. Timothy Starbuck Gardner. Sarah Elizabeth Harvey. Tessa Evelyn Hulse. Brian Michael Hyman. Jesse Boardman Kaupola. Kristen Mary Lavawade. Catherine Faye Lefevre. Amelia R. Lawrence. Jonathan Paul Owicki. Ethan Timothy Raphael. Eleanor Hazard Ray. Joseph Gordon Robertson. Emily Elizabeth Rorabaugh. Daniel Jacob Sander. Joseph Everett Willis. Will the graduates please be seated? Will the candidates of the Division of History and Social Sciences please rise?
Mr. President, I present for the degree of Bachelor of Arts the candidates both present and in absentia of the Division of History and Social Sciences.
Upon the recommendation of the faculty of Reed College and by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon the students of this division the degree of Bachelor of Arts with all the rights and privileges thereunto appertaining.
Zara Saba Azhar. Serene Elaine Bacigalupi. Matthew Gordon Bresnahan. Erica Nicole Bryant. Aya Lee Burgess. Se Hua. Reed Francis Capolino. Julia Helen Cattrall. Anna Chikara. Erin Ashley Cruz. Randall Philip Dongo Olson. Dustin Dwight Ellett. Dustin Michael Fremont. Isabel Stein Gable. Vanessa Nicole Garrido. Andrea Michael Glaser. Amy Westlake Gordonier. Deborah Anastasia Healy. Hayes Lawrence Ingram. Jennifer Colleen Ireland. Jason Michael Islas. Josephine Hannah Jimenez Howard. Peter Robin Johnson. Cody Brewster Kennedy. Sarah Elizabeth Lake. Ian Tyson LaRue. Ulrich S. Leguest. Christine Elizabeth Lewis. Jacob Donegan Luce. Britta Sherston Lundeen. Jeffrey Michael McGuire. Louis Thomas Meineke. T.A. Emmett Mosley IV. Adam Joseph Mount. Kirsten M.E. Monroe. Kim Tien Nguyen. Anna Marie Gabriella Niemeyer. Andrew Mark Paponi. Kenneth Isaac Patterson. Aaron Maurice Pervin. Angel Wilfredo Prado. Rachel Sona Reed. Michael Torrey Richardson. Provo Relic. Benjamin Howe Rowland. Arthur Levi Scott. Rachel Lilia Shiner. Alden Ware Smith. Catherine Erin Stedman. Gary Preston Stedman. Emma D'Artez Stalker. Ashley Alexis Stripling. Andrew P. A. Thompson. Rachel Elizabeth Thompson. Daniel Krantz Toffee. Sarah Demetria Salbins. Izara Margarita Varela. Matthew Alexander Wasserman. Alexandra B. Wood. Will the graduates please be seated? Will the captain of the Division of Literature and Languages please rise?
Mr. President, I present for the degree of Bachelor of Arts the candidates, both present and in absentia, of the Division of Literature and Languages.
Upon the recommendation of the faculty of Reed College and by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon the students of this division the degree of Bachelor of Arts with all the rights and privileges thereunto appertaining.
Nicholas Moselle Allen. Amanda Lee Bailey. Elizabeth Christine Burke. Rachel Marie Brownell. Mackenzie James Cole. Emily Claire Owens Collinson. Charles Franklin Sanders Creasy. Emma Madeline Dupin. Layla Nova Forrest White. Anya Gallardo. Justin Nathaniel Gillette. Serena Eve Golden. Nandini Jayarajan. Casey Elizabeth Johnson. Jessica Lynn Kaptine. Marlena Ruth Kelly. Stephanie Cornelia Larson. Zoe Wilhelmina Lassen Purser. Jessica Danielle Levy. Anna Lauren Noland McCullough. Elizabeth Ann Mueller. Tetsuro Namba. James Matthew Nemiroff. Andrew Glatter Nussbaum. Niall P. O'Donoghue. Elizabeth Ann Oakes. Lauren Dillon Pope. Samantha Ann Prybeck. Joshua Michael Riedel. Stephen Edward Ronkowski. Evelyn Salazar. Catherine Benz Schwer. Laura Jean Tomlinson. Samuel Benjamin Tucker. Marina Tefra Gale Valenzuela. Lee Garrett Walton. Fawn Emily Ward. Michelle Brooke Wells. Will the graduates please be seated? Will the candidates of the Division of Mathematics and Natural Sciences please rise?
Mr. President, I am proud to present for the degree Bachelor of Arts these candidates, both present and in absentia, from the Division of Mathematics and Natural Science.
Upon the recommendation of the faculty of Reed College and by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon the students of this division the degree of Bachelor of Arts with all the rights and privileges thereunto appertaining.
Lauren Parker Albert. Juliana Marie Arregi. Samuel James Billheimer. Ashley Leanne Bissell. Matthew Strom Borman. Rhoda Araba Tawia Brew Appia. Heidi Elise Brooks. Diego Isidoro Calderon. Amy Erin Campbell. Courtney Yvonne Chapman. Lana Margolis Chisholm. Amanda Nicole Court. Lee Ann Curran. Lindsay Diane Earl. Cooper Andrew French. Stephanie Christine Gantz. Renee Leah Garfin. Jane Taylor Gobatz. Angela Maria Gibbs. Kristen Dawn Brower Gray. Meredith Amanda Griebler. Vanessa Elaine Holfeltz. Ginger Chin-Chi Dwi. Daria Catherine Yadidia Zahava Kalali. Dewey June Kim. Tuoms Kreitzbergs. Rebecca Jean Creston. Anaya Elizabeth Kruger. Joshua Alexander Kurtzman. Ezra Samuel Lenser. Aaron Joshua Leventhal. Judith Emily Patudith Levine. Allison Amelia Mahan. Mounta Manandhar. Antonia Meyer. Mariah Rose McKay. Beth Mendelson. Gretchen Elise Metzenberg. Brooke Taylor Moyers. Elliot Logan Nadis. Alice Emily Niels. Derek Allen Oldridge. Kian Parandvash. Michaela Marie Procopio. David Allen Rasmussen. Andrew Nelson Rhines. Emmett Alton Sartor. Amory Bartholomew Schlender. Zachary Masao Schultz. Jacob Aaron Schwartzman. Casey Ann Spear. Jessica Lauren Thompson. Chelsea Karen Thornburg. Cadence Elise True. Zachary McClendon Turner. Dashiell Lawrence Pyle Vitullo. Craig Franklin Wagner. Daniel Morris Walker. Monica Wieland. Michael Roy Castleman Williams. Trevor Matthew Young. Victoria Hallie Zero. Will the graduates please be seated? Will the candidates of the Division of Philosophy, Religion, Psychology, and Linguistics please rise?
Mr. President, I present for the degree of Bachelor of Arts the candidates, both present and in absentia, of the Division of Philosophy, Religion, Psychology, and Linguistics.
Upon the recommendation of the faculty of Reed College and by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon the students of this division the degree of Bachelor of Arts with all the rights and privileges thereunto appertaining.
Ilana Joy Averbach. Sahar Claire Baharlu. Helen Yvonne Bardine. Susan Elizabeth Barlow. Tiffany Lorraine Betts. Daniil Hyojung Bezimer. Margaret Anna Beiser. Douglas True Borst. Jane Lindsay Boyle. Catherine Shelley Brizzi. Nicholas Ford Calloway. Mark S. Chapman. Byron Matthew Davies. Leah Hunter Dunn. Benjamin Johnston Edwards. Jeffrey Thomas Finger. Ian Brooke Fisher. David Andrew Fries. Michael Yealy Frederick. John Samuel Fry. Robert Sven Gada. Marissa Lynn Gamble. Tara Jade Jota. Landon J. Goldberg. Susanna Lynn Goldblatt. Mallory Marie Alice Harshaw Hess. Aminta Olivia Hyenga. Alana Henderson Hine. Bridget Dubois Hillardis. Justin Henry Holguin. Brett Jeffrey Holverstad. Stephen Blake Eigelhart. Rhiannon Elizabeth Killeen. Duncan H. Kocher Lindgren. Matthew Christopher Corin. Nathaniel Adam Levy. Christian Emmanuel Lee. Brian Anthony Ashley Connolly Mack. Megan Ann McInerney. Mariana Elaine Mullins. Aaron Michael Murphy Cruz. Whitney Nicole Nash. Caitlin O'Brien Carelli. Julia Elizabeth Palmer. Myrna Herrick. Sarah Ruth Robertson. Lauren Helene Rother. Vasilii Vagizovich Safin. Elliot Allen Sitt. Tina A. Sohaley. Jonathan Andrew Stokes. Daniel James Toman. Matthew Frederick Tonner. Natalie Rose Troxel. Michael James Vossen. Amanda Lillian Waldrop. Eric Anders Wadeen. Natalie Helene Weintraub. Lauren Nicole White. Miriam Judith Woods. Will the graduates please be seated? candidates who have completed interdisciplinary majors please rise?
Mr. President, I present for the degree of Bachelor of Arts the candidates both present and in absentia who have completed interdisciplinary majors.
Upon the recommendation of the faculty of Reed College and by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon the students of this division the degree of Bachelor of Arts with all the rights and privileges thereunto appertaining.
Timothy Buck Armstrong. Robin Sokolar Blanc. Benjamin Francis Cordell Colahan. Daniel Isaac Dillaplane. Ranganai Guati. Leonardo Javier Jaramillo. David Michael Kling. Dana Wiggins Logan. Lindsay Marie Mattison. Elena Ruth McKernan. Bronwyn North Reist. Andrew Graver Snyder. Stacia Dickinson Torborg. Will the graduates please be seated? Will the candidates for the degree of Master of Arts in Liberal Studies please rise?
Mr. President, I present for the degree of Master of Arts in Liberal Studies the candidates both present and in absentia.
Upon the recommendation of the faculty of Reed College and by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon these candidates the degree of Master of Arts with all the rights and privileges thereunto appertaining.
Sarah Beth Chapman. Susan J. Hayden. Casey Killingsworth. Bernard Merrill. Julia Christine Quaid. Brooke Elizabeth Schneider. Carolyn Christine Shivers. Barbara Ernestine Wester Skipworth. Will the graduates please be seated? I now invite your applause for the class of 2007.